Not being judgy, but do you spend more time organizing your tasks or chasing status updates than you do actual work? Look into Rike. It's a smart work management platform that automates everyone's mess. Go to wrike.com/TMM to check it out.
Welcome to the Marketing Millennials, the No BS Marketing Podcast. I'm Daniel Murray, and join me for unfiltered conversations with the brains behind marketing's coolest companies. The one request I tell our guests, stories or it didn't happen. Get ready to turn the up.
We are back with another episode of the Marketing Millennials, and I'm here with the founder of one of the coolest, I would say, technologies in the market when it comes to creative testing, performance, and now with them laying on AI, it's probably, I don't know a brand that doesn't use this in e-commerce and that it has Shopify, but if you have using something different, let me know, because I don't know any brand, and I've talked to a lot of brands, and Motion always gets brought up. So excited to get talking to you, Reza, and I know you kind of have like an interesting journey. Like you dropped out of college, and then like you started like a laundry themed business, and then you pivoted to your like next venture, and then you had Shoelace, which like you saw the writing on the wall, like there's something bigger, but that foundation Shoelace built like became what Motion is. So could you go into like a little bit of like your journey of like how like Motion came about, and then we could talk about like what you're seeing in the market and like how to become like why Motion is the best.
Yeah. I won't go all the way back. Let me start with like the Shoelace to Motion story. We started Shoelace at a really interesting time. This was like very early Shopify days. It was also very early. It's really interesting. I've told this story many times, but like you see the rise of like D2C and Shopify. It's impossible to have seen that happen without Meta emerging as like the perfect distribution channel for all these e-commerce brands, because it was obviously like if you were doing e-commerce, you would sell on Amazon, but if you wanted to have your own Shopify store, the question was like, well, how am I going to find customers, right? And like Meta emerges as this like perfect distribution channel for the types of products that got sold on Shopify, which weren't necessarily products that you're searching for, right? Like they're products that you would discover through like seeing something on social that helps you say like, oh, this is actually a really cool product. I wasn't searching for it, but this is really cool and it solves my problem. I want to buy it. And Meta just was this like amazing distribution channel for companies like that. And so we were building Shoelace at around that time with like both Shopify as a platform for brands and Meta as a distribution channel for brands. And it's kind of insane that we've been like working at that intersection for like basically 11 years now. This is around 2015 that we got started. Shopify had maybe like 70, 80,000 merchants on their platform at the time. They had this like app store that was getting off the ground. And so initially we built a product that would help you like install your Facebook pixel, and anyways, like very, very simple use case. Eventually Shoelace pivoted to being more of a marketing agency as like the thin layer of value that we built in the early days started to erode. And then I was always very fired up about software. And as Shoelace started to kind of transition to becoming a more services business, I kind of went off with our engineering team to think about what's next. And we had some really great customers and partners at the time. And we were fortunate to like, I think the thing that's been really interesting about Motion is that our earliest customers were like the best in the world at performance marketing in D2C. And so like those were the people like Ridge Wallet and Hexclad and Jones Road Beauty. And like these were brands that we were spending time with in our exploration phase of what's next. And so I kind of feel like we got a glimpse into the future of performance marketing through them. Like what were they doing that was like way ahead of the curve of everybody else? And at the time, it was just like pure obsession around creative. It's obvious to say that now, that it's obviously the most important thing. But it was not obvious around 2020, 2021. There were still a lot of people that were like obsessed with like lookalike audiences and like stacking different interest targeting. And like they were still operating in a world that if you got really good at targeting people, then that would drive the biggest revenue in your paid performance. But I think those groups, what they understood was that the algorithm was just getting really, really good at the distribution side, and that the most important lever was going to be creative, and also like social itself was maturing, and like the types of content that people would expect to see in their social feed, like the bar for good quality creative and advertising was going up. And so like I think, so you have these growth people that are explaining to the creative team, like, what does it take to drive revenue? And like that was the problem that we fell in love with. We're like, you have these two disciplines, like growth people who are obsessed about like numbers and revenue and driving performance. And you have creative people who like have really great taste and know how to like make something incredible. That what the best teams were doing is they were trying to fuse those two disciplines. And so like that was basically at the core of the problem that we got really excited about with Motion. And this is like 2021 basically. And now we're 5-6 years later and it's still the same problem. And it's now in the era of AI, like even more important, where these like multidisciplinary people who are good at different things using AI to basically drive incredible value. It's like that same problem is still very much front and center. But along the way, there's a role that has emerged, and like we'll see if this role sticks into the future or not. But the creative strategist role, we weren't the first ones to like bring it up, but at that time we noticed that a few teams were starting to hire for that role and like call this role an important role. And we were like, it makes sense to have a new type of person who is basically going to act as the bridge between the growth world and the creative world. And like the industry was starting to run with creative strategist as the title. And at the time, one of the wild bets for us, I remember when we were fundraising, a lot of our investors like pushed back on like, who the hell is this creative strategist? What do you mean? It's not even a role. We've never heard about it. Like, how are you going to go all in on a role that doesn't even seem to exist? But like that was one of the like best decisions in the company's life, is that we were obsessively focused on this role that hadn't really emerged yet, but we had conviction that it was going to become more and more important. And then fast forward today, we just wrapped up our creative strategy boot camp. I think it had something like 80,000 registrants. And like, this is the curriculum that's going to train the next batch of creative strategists. And like that, and these days, like, I don't know any good brand that doesn't have a creative strategist on their team, whether in title or in practice. Like someone on the team is doing that job. And so I think our obsession with that job role and trying to educate the market on what that job role is. So like, I almost think Motion is like accidentally built two types of businesses. One is like a info product type of company where we're putting out like content that we could genuinely build like a revenue generating business around the content that we put out, but like we do it all for free because obviously our main business is building and selling software. But we take it with the same level of seriousness, and this has been like a deliberate choice for us for years, that like if we were building an info product around like selling creative strategy knowledge basically. And I think what that has helped us do is to stay really close to the cutting edge of what it means to be excellent at this discipline, and then we're building products for it. I think that is, you know, like if our customers are the best marketers in the world, and if we're going to have the audacity to like build products for them, then like we need to really understand this stuff, because if we don't, we're going to build products that they're just going to be like, this is useless. Like, because we're talking about the best in the world marketers. And so we always felt like the education part of our business will keep us very close to understanding what the best people in the world are doing and trying to educate everybody else around that. And it becomes a really good input signal into the products that we build. And so I think the combination of those things has brought us to where we are today, which is like in a really interesting spot in a category that's just seems to be exploding right now.
Yeah, I mean, the media side of it is pretty interesting because like media gives you really like pain point level, like what's happening in the industry. Like you have to know that to create great media. Like you have to know that, where like a lot of companies are running off of like pain point that their product is like the pain points that people are having with their products, instead of like pain point that the industry is having. And you get a lot of insights with like organic or education or media, by just like putting out stuff and seeing like a creative strategist will say like, wait, we don't do this, or I would refine this better, or like could you talk more about this, because this pain is what we're actually having. Some people might never buy, but they're going to tell people about that word of mouth level. But I want to also go into another thing. So you kind of were early with like knowing the shoelace thing, but it wasn't like the right product at the right time. And then like you were really early in the creative strategist, which I think like reminds me when I used to be in marketing ops, and I used to like say to like the head of demand gen, I was like, why aren't we like testing which creatives are like performing better, and like what has more uplift? Like they were just like, would put out an ad and they wouldn't know like 5 variations, and they'll just be like, run them as many times. They didn't know why they were working. They just put them out there, and they cared more about just like you said, like the lookalikes and stuff like that, which was like super annoying to me as a marketing ops person. But I was also like a content person, so I was like, this is pissing me off. But now you're making another bet, and you're kind of like, AI is like everywhere, but there's like a bet you're trying to make, which is which I could see why it's a bet, because we were talking before this, and like technology is supposed to like really level the playing field with like most like against people, and then like let humans win. So you're betting that like you're trying to level the playing field so everybody has the best tool to win with creative strategy, but the best creative strategists or the best marketers are going to win out the end. Could you explain like a little bit of like what Motion's doing with that AI layer?
Yeah. One of the product launch categories that I hate the most, and like I don't even need to name any of them, because like every other week there's one where there's some pitch that's like, use our AI and it's going to like produce ads that win better than any human could do. And like, to me, that is a ridiculous value proposition, because if a company were to do that, then there is no edge, right? Anybody who uses that product basically is now like putting their edge into the hands of that vendor. And now let's say that vendor is successful and has tens of thousands of customers, then what? Like everyone just going to sit there and have this vendor drive all the revenue for them? No, that's not how it works. That's not how marketers do things. Marketing is an extremely competitive sport, and the entire purpose of it is to find an edge against other people. And so like, if you go shopping for the thing that says like, I will just find and drive your edge for you, that means you will also do it for all of my competitors, and therefore you are not offering me any edge, right? The correct thing is like, I believe that the best like marketing is actually going to be one of the job roles that survives post AI, because it's non-deterministic, it's competitive, it's always changing, it has to do with taste. I don't think you can have a closed loop marketing machine that just prints money for people. I just don't believe that. But I think what we'll see in the near term is that the people who get really good at AI will have an edge against other people, just because like they're moving faster from a technology standpoint. So I think we were talking about like tennis rackets earlier, that you basically, if you have 2 people playing tennis, one person has a much better tennis racket, they may do better even if they're like, let's say, a worse tennis player. And what we're trying to do with AI is to say that we want to eliminate as quickly as possible the edge that exists with AI, to have like every single marketer have the same level of like gold standard AI that doesn't require them to basically bang their head against the wall with like Cloud Code and like, because right now we're very early and it's actually a lot of fun. I am one of the most AI pilled people that I know, and I love it and I have a great time. It is not necessarily the case though that every incredible marketer in the world needs to be a technical AI person. I think it feels like that right now, because if you don't, you're kind of getting left behind. And so there is real arbitrage and edge in getting really technical really quickly. But everything we're trying to do with AI is to eliminate that and make it so that basically it just goes back to like, who's the best marketer, because the technology part of the equation is solved. And I can give you a few examples of this.
Yeah, I'll add one thing into that, because like what happened to marketing, like starting at 2020, is that the edge people had with targeting became like the people who were winning at the beginning had an edge because they knew how to like manipulate targeting better than anybody else.
Yep.
And that's like it didn't matter what creative they were putting out. They just knew how to get it into the right person in the right time, and they knew how to manipulate the system to do that. And they had that edge. Like that was the edge back then. And then now, like you saw the ridges and all those Jones Road and stuff. Like they figure out like the pendulum it swung back to what marketing used to be in like the 60s, 70s, where like creative is like the best thing. That like creative is the targeting. Like you put out something and creative is the targeting. It's not the best targeting. So like now it's the same thing with AI. It's like, okay, it might take 3 or 4 years where this is like, if you're better at AI, you're going to win out. But if you don't have like now, like when someone has emotion and they're like the playing field's leveled, like it's the player who knows the game that will win out. So I just wanted to add that like it happens in cycles in marketing all the time.
Totally correct. And I think what we're trying to do is like even the people that are, because somebody had posted on Twitter that they're basically like building a motion replacement with AI, and I was like, because now AI is like so capable and is able to do so much. And I responded to that person. I was like, that's amazing. I'm excited for you, but like, FYI, we're also using AI, and like we are flying 1,000 times faster than we used to. And so our goal is to actually like eliminate the arbitrage from even appearing, right? So even the people who are like really AI pilled, that are going to do the craziest, coolest things with AI, I think we're at the point now, and we're certainly going to be even further beyond there in the next couple of months, where if you just use motion, you'll actually be doing better than those people, because we've kind of thought about all the things that you're going to need if you want to be a crazy AI pilled person doing like really cool things. The first piece like starts with the data. This is what we spent a lot of last year investing in. Last year was an interesting time because you had a lot of flashy AI launches around like ad gen, like generating creative. We spent the whole year doing boring stuff because we were like, actually the most important thing here is clean data, because if we're going to build this like really interesting AI loop, like the most important thing is for the AI to be able to like fly really fast in understanding the data. And anybody who's spent any time trying to like throw data at an LLM, you quickly realize that like you give it too much information and it falls apart, gets confused. And so we were like, how do you build a data layer that almost acts like a railway for the agent to be able to really understand? And so we did a couple of really interesting things there. One is when you connect to Motion, we pre-watch all of your videos. So as soon as you connect your ad account to Motion, our AI starts like just consuming every single one of your videos for the last 90 days and going forward. We've also done that, by the way, for the entire competitive library. So like tens of thousands of brands in our inspo world, we've watched every single one of those videos. We start summarizing them in a way that, for example, like if you want AI to like base a new concept based on a previous concept, you might have to like hook it into Gemini and tell Gemini, go watch this video and tell me what you find. But like if you're doing that in runtime and like you're trying to come up with new briefs, like you have to sit there and wait for like AI to have watched the video. So like one of the big investments we made was like pre-watch everything and put these detailed summaries, because like agents are really good at gobbling markdown, right? Put these summaries that AI can just say, oh, this creative, it's been pre-watched. So in like half a second, I can watch it again because Motion is like summarize this creative for me in a way that's easy to understand. And we also implemented a taxonomy layer. So like all the best marketers basically create this like naming convention of what's the messaging angle, what's the visual format, all of these, like this is now even a shortcut to the richer summary data because it's like the taxonomy that describes the variables that matter in this creative. And all of that is tied to the performance data. So like this is like the co-founder of Intercom made this really good analogy that in AI, the best products are like an iceberg where actually a lot of the value is you can't even see it. SaaS 1.0, a lot of the value was like how good the visualization software was. And actually it's what made Motion really powerful is that we were a very, very visual product. And that's what people loved about it. Motion in the AI era, like so much of the value that we've been spending the last like year and a half building, like no one even sees it. This is all just like under the hood stuff to make the AI work really well. But like that's one example that like the most AI pilled people, if they want to get started, this is what they're going to do with their data. But like, you know, you sign up to Motion, that's all just happens for you magically. And all that data is like ready for LLMs. I'll pause here, but basically the next thing that happens is you need to deploy an agent on top of this data. And like, this is what we've been spending a lot of this year on and made some really, really cool progress that I'm excited to talk more about.
Yeah, I want to go a little bit into one thing because I like it sounds like really sick, but I also want to like go into like breaking the firing of like these marketers and like what is the creative strategist 2.0 look like with AI, with these tools under their belt, with taste under their belt? Because I think like the best creative strategists are like performance heavy, but understand like what good creative look like. Plus, they're just like you say AI pilled. I think they're like audience pilled. Like they know like their audience better than anybody, and that's like really what the big difference. If you have like AI, like taste, and you're like audience pilled, because I think like if you put me in another industry, I wouldn't be as good as a marketer because like I just understand marketers so much. Like and like if you put me in plumbing, like I'm not, but I'm so like marketer pilled that like I understand. I talk to so many marketers, nuances, so many companies, and that's what you did with your like boot camp, and I think so, and made this product way better. But going back to my original question, like what is Creative Strategist 2.0? Like what do you see them doing with this tool to like level them up and making like the best creative strategists win out at the end?
Totally. Yeah. I think these days I'm having trouble distinguishing between the creative strategist and just like elite marketing. You know, I think what has happened with the creative strategist role is it's just becoming the label for world-class marketing. Because world-class marketing today is very centered around creative and your audience and like what you're actually going to put in front of them. So these days I'm using it interchangeably. Like what is a marketer? What is a creative strategist? Like tends to be the same thing. I think this role is not going anywhere, not even close. And it, I think is going to be one of the biggest roles that remain, because actually a lot of the things that AI can automate away are the things that have really predictable outcomes. As much as like you ask the best marketer in the world, like there's no way that you can build a predictable loop because so many things are changing, right? So the algorithm is constantly changing. It's a black box to us. We don't know how it's changing day to day. I don't even know if like Meta and the different channels know exactly how their distribution engine works. So it's constantly in flux. Consumer taste is always changing. Culture is always changing. So like you can't pin the foundations down. And so there's no way to build like a closed loop system around it. Like you need a human somewhere. Obviously AI is going to help tremendously, right? At around all of these things. I think the job role of the creative strategist 2.0 or the marketer 2.0 is basically one that feels a lot more like a systems designer around their taste and POV, right? So they like you go from like making an ad to basically making the system that produces lots of ads. And I do think we're going to see that with AI, even to the point of generation. But I think somebody at the highest level is going to be able to like control the system in this way or that way. And your experiment goes from like, I'm going to experiment this ad versus another ad, like A/B testing ads, which was maybe like the 1.0 way, or ad concepts. I think what marketers of the future, or creative strategists of the future are going to do is like, they're going to be A/B testing systems. You know, it's like, I have this entire POV of the way that I do research, the way that I'm looking at the data, the way that I'm looking at like cultural signals, the way that that informs the 20 concepts that I want to produce this week. But like, there's probably 4 other ways to do it, right? And each of those might produce 20 different concepts. And so I think the marketer just rises up to that level of building a system, which kind of is interesting. The thing about AI is actually pretty clear to see what is going to happen to it. Is very similar to like leadership roles, right? Because in some ways, if you're a marketing leader, that's kind of what you're doing, is like you have a team and resources, and you're thinking about like, what's the best way to deploy these resources. So you're not necessarily thinking about it in the level of like this ad versus another ad, but like you're thinking about like these roles versus that role, this skill set versus that skill set, this operating system versus another one. And I think you just get a lot more leverage now, where you're able to run those cycles a lot faster. And it's almost like you have many more people doing work for you. And so what would you do if you had like 100 times more resources? Like the people who are not so great would be like, I don't know what to do with those resources. But like the best people would be like, oh my God, now I can operate at like a whole different scale.
Yeah, I would also add not even resources, like the best like coaches, managers that like understand how to like give like great feedback and like tell things what to do. Like if you were a great manager or a great coach and you've like coached teams very well, and you can like go and like coach your AI like you coach the teams, like it's such a bigger advantage than someone who's like been like siloed and never coached anybody, and like never, because like AI is only as great as like the feedback, the brief, the like what you give it. So if you don't know how to give good feedback to someone and say like, this is what you're missing, and you're just saying like random stuff, like it's not going to do any better for you. So I would say like also like if you know how to code, like those are like it's funny, like the soft skills are like what's rising to the top of what AI is. Like people who it's like the coaching, the feedback, the people skills. If you're good at that, you probably could be good at AI. And the system ones is really interesting too, because I like, even me, like I'm constantly like seeing like which, like when I'm doing like which writes the best headline, like in testing between like all of the AI. Like I don't like say like I'm like Claude's only thing could do this. So we're like, what? I'm just like giving an example. I'm like, Claude, like if a new model launches, I want to like test it and see like, is that model better than this model and this? And that's like what you have to do now, where like you can't just be like eyeball. But it's good to have like a tool like Motion, who's probably testing all those tools in the back end and then like giving it to you where it's like on a silver platter, like, hey, I'm running all these tools in the background, and we know which one's the best because we're doing it ourselves.
Yes, yeah, and there's so I mentioned like last year we spent a lot of time investing on like our data infrastructure. This year has been a lot of time invested in our agent infrastructure. We've not done a big launch around this, even though it's like live. We have an agent called Runneth, and it's been live for a little bit. 500 of our customers are using it, and every week we are rolling it out to another like 100 or 200 of our customers. By the way, if you're watching this and you're a Motion customer and you don't have access to Runneth yet, just ping us and we'll enable access for you. We're trying to do it in batches. One of the investments that we made there is around the time, I don't know if your audience all saw like what happened with OpenClaw around the end of last year, but there was something really magical about the idea of giving an agent a full computer, right? So like that's when the Mac Mini craze happened. A bunch of people went and bought a Mac Mini and like put an OpenClaw in it and start giving a lot of access. We were pretty convinced as soon as we saw that seems like the right pattern for AI. but not only that it would be like a personal use machine, but it's one AI with its own computer that is basically like a teammate at your company. And there was going to be a lot of challenges in basically setting that up, because like, who's going to go buy a Mac Mini, and like, how does that become like interchangeable with the team? So we set out to go and solve that problem and say, what if we had the same concept of OpenClaw? Everyone gets their own virtual machine. It comes like multiplayer out of the box, so your entire team can interact with it, and it kind of shares this like company brain, so that as each person right now is like working with their own AI and probably has their own little system, and people are duplicating efforts. Talked about this early on, like how does like multiplayer AI work? Because if you're a paid social team, like it's rarely just one person, right? Like there's a bunch of people in the loop that need to like coordinate work with each other. And our theory is that like AI needs to be at the center of that. It's not like a tool that each individual user is using. It's more like AI is at the center of the company now, and we're all kind of working together with AI to do our work. And the way to implement that takes an insane amount of like infrastructure thought to think about. Like, you know, people have like shared cloud subscriptions, but that's not quite doing it, right? And so Runneth is built on this premise that literally for every single one of our customers, like Motion as like a SaaS company has no business going into this like type of business, but like all the rules get rewritten with AI. I think we are now like basically like a virtual machine vendor, because every single one of our customers has their own dedicated virtual machine that is like provisioned just for them and has Runneth running inside of that just for them. And that like extreme approach has made it so that it really can be like the center of the AI operating system for those brands. And so that's like all of the investments that any AI pilled person, even like when we talk to like the most extreme AI pilled person, that like they often have their own little Claude code set up, and it's not necessarily transferred into the rest of the team. And so what I was trying to say was that like we've solved all the problems that even the most Claude pilled people have not fully solved for their orgs. And we're able to deliver that so that we can level the playing field of like AI investment for the best marketer, so that they can just focus on being the best creative strategist. And our view is actually like, we want to make a lot of this AI stuff easier for people to do, so that we can place the edge where it actually belongs, is who's the best creative strategist, who's the best marketer that is able to like use the same kind of, to use the tennis racket analogy. Everyone has the best tennis racket. That's not the edge anymore. How do you use it? And like, I think that's where we're actually seeing that when we talk to our customers and we're onboarding them into Runneth, even though everyone gets the same technology, it's the better creative strategist that's able to like get more value out of it, because they already have like a lot of really good insights on where they want to go. And the people who are lagging behind, what they need to do is actually go to our boot camp. They need to go learn creative strategy. They need to get better at like the principles of really good marketing. And like that is actually more of the bottleneck than how can I find the latest prompt to use inside of Claude, which I think feels today that the marketers are like, I need to obsess over that. We're trying to change that equation and say, no, just like learn what it means to be an elite creative strategist. And like, that is where the edge belongs.
If your boss has ever said who approved this copy because they signed off on it a month ago, you might need some ops help. If your campaigns get delayed because no one can find the brief, the assets, or the approvals, you definitely do. Reich kills the disconnects. It's a smart work management platform that automates the chaos for the whole team in one place. With visual collaboration, resource planning, and the insights to make everything better and quicker every time. Go to Reich.com/TMM to see how teams at Lyft, Ogilvy, NVIDIA use it. That's WRIKE.com/TMM.
Yeah, I've always said, since I've been in marketing ops, that like fundamentals first, then tools. Like it's always like if you don't have like that fundamentals of like what great like marketing is, where like it's understanding psychology, understanding marketing, like understanding people, understanding writing, understanding those skills are like never going to change if you understand like the human. And then when you lay it upon tools, but like a lot of people go the opposite and say like, I need a tool to do this for me, instead of like who's the best human that can use the tool to like the 10x, like and it's the same with everything. It's like people like try to like manipulate platform. They go to platform before strategy. Like they go to like, it's always like they try to get the quickest way, and the quickest way is always like leveling up expertise is always the quickest way to like win. It's never like being the best at Claude now will give you leverage for a little bit. It's just like what we just said, like it's like you can be the best with that tennis racket for the longest period of time until like someone like either gets a better tennis racket or finds a better tennis racket, or they like learn how to do something with the forehand or backhand or the surface that they're playing with, or mentally better than anybody else, and then they win. Because really, like a lot of it is like the companies that are winning are 1 to 4% better, like at the end. And it's not like the biggest difference, but that 1 to 4%, like the best in the world in any sport is always like 1 to 3% better than, and the other people are really close, but that edge of 1 to 3% is always like the person. It's not the coach, the tool. It's always the person.
Yeah. It's like, software engineering is a good example of like probably the first role that has gotten really, really disrupted by AI. And I think it's a good example of what's to come in other industries, where in software engineering, yes, like the floor has been raised. Now like vibe coders can like build cool products and ship. But if you see the value that the individuals who didn't know how to program before and what they're able to do now, that's like pretty valuable. But look at the people who are like elite engineers who have adopted this stuff and like really good at AI. Like they're probably now like 1,000x more valuable than they were before. And so this idea of like mastering the craft is at the end of the day where you're going to get the most leverage, especially if the tools accelerate quickly. I think, right now it is probably a good idea for everyone to be like immersed in trying to understand like Claude and other AI tools and like tinkering and playing with stuff. Like it is a good idea to spend a lot of time there, but it's kind of like also important to ground ourselves in this idea that like that is not where the edge is actually going to be, and the edge, like don't kind of lose the principles. And the best marketers don't even need to be told that, because like they already know it. It's more for the folks who are so excited about all this AI stuff and think that they can basically like defy the fundamentals of good marketing, and like maybe for a little bit until the good marketers also catch up to you on the tool side.
Yeah, I mean, what you said, we've seen it through history too. It's like when people got access to a computer, like the edge was the computer, right? Versus like doing things manually. Then when people got access to the internet, like the edge was like the internet, and then that became kind of a level playing field. And now it's like the edge is AI, but like it's always the people who knew how to operate the business, like operate a business, or understood the fundamentals of marketing, or that's why I'm hounding brand so much like now, because like brand is something like is taste and performance together. And I hate when people say brand is just like not that. It is like brand is performance marketing to me. So like it's the people who are like invest, like Motion's doing it through like education, media. That's like an investment in brand. You want to be seen as like not like helping creative strategists win. But you also have a good tool that could do it too. But that's brand. And I think people who are making that invested alongside with things is like when always gonna win. It's the people who try to like edge people with like hacks or little things that are gonna like end of the day are not gonna win out. You can win for a little bit with hacks, or money grab with hacks for a little bit.
Which is the other kind of point of, I think, what happens with Creative Strategist 2.0 is that the really great ones actually influence the business quite a bit. So it's not like they just sit there and the business says like, okay, we have this product and this value prop, go sell it. I think what we'll start to see is a really good and tight feedback loop between what we're learning on the go-to-market side with creative strategists and like, if founders are not obsessed about what is happening in their ads, I think actually those founders might be in trouble in the years ahead, because there's so much signal about what the market is saying to you about the products that you're building and the things that they care about. Like, what richer signal is there for a founder trying to like think about their product strategy and company strategy than understanding like what the market is responding to from a creative standpoint, right? That feedback loop to me is the opportunity for like Creative Strategist 2.0, is to not just like take marching orders from the company and just go and try to sell their product, but it's more like build a feedback loop from what we're learning in our marketing back to like, hey, actually, I know we're prioritizing this, that, and the other as a business, but like, do you realize that the market is really responding to this, this, and this? Like, maybe we should use that as a signal to actually influence company direction, which honestly, I think is like what some of the best founders are good at doing. And so I think the lines between like, what does it mean to run the company and what does it mean to do marketing are also going to blur quite a bit. And you mentioned like the 60s and 70s. Like, I think there was a lot of that where it wasn't just about like, how do we take this product and go and sell it? It is also trying to like inform back to the company like, hey, this segment is really fired up about what we're doing. Like, maybe we should go all in as a company, like focusing on this segment or this product line or this category. And the people who are good at that, to your point, are like just like really good big picture thinkers who ultimately will win out against the people who are just trying to like experiment next tactic. And like, that might have short-term results, but it's not who wins in the end.
Yeah, that's why I'm so bullish on like social media people too, because they're just like such in the ear of like what's working. Like, to make something work in like an algorithm, like you have to understand like what people want, because people are the algorithm and the platforms want people to stay on that platform. So like, you have to understand what your audience wants, and you could find, based on what the comments and stuff, you could find audience. And like, if you're not finding, like you said, like creative strategies emerged because you saw that people were like focusing on that, and maybe like it was a dual role. Like, for in some companies, you saw people were focusing because you were like paying attention to like that pain point. And that's just the same with ads. Like, you might think like your audience is like this, and then like an ad's like all these other people are coming through the ad because of this, and they're coming because this pain point is like telling them like, this is a pain I'm having. And if you keep building for over here, you're like going the whole opposite direction of the company needs to go.
That's the thing. It's like when you think about like what good marketing is, it actually has a really strong opinion about what we're selling. Is there a market for this thing? Like some of the best marketers would show up at a company and be like, there's no market here. Like, there's no point. Like, actually the best thing to do is to try to pivot the company until you find a real market for what you're selling. Or some really amazing marketers would be like, we found a good niche, a good pocket of customers that really resonated with this, but we've now hit a plateau. And the plateau is not because we need to like find the next ad iteration. It's because like we've exhausted the TAM of people that would resonate with this. And so if we want to scale our ads, we need to find more TAM. Like, and maybe we don't have a product to sell to more TAM. Maybe this is it. And so then you go back and say, well, the thing that we need to do to like really scale our ads is we need to come up with a new product, because like we need something that's more accessible to like a wider audience and stuff like that. And so,
and usually it starts too with like what you said, like usually the first problem is that you haven't scaled creative enough to like to a point where you're hitting people and not fatiguing the audience with the same ad, and then when you get to like that level where you're fatiguing like nobody else is buying because like it's not fatigue, it's just like nobody, like the creative has got at a level where there's not enough fish, and then like CAC keeps going up, then you're like, okay, there's a segment we haven't been focused on because we see it and they can't buy our product because that doesn't matter. Like that's why we used to, when I used to run in SaaS, we used to have like an ACP, which is like acceptable customer profile, and we used to like feed them into like this ACP and see like, oh, like let's test them on our product with a small bit of people, and then like let's see like if we can build around those people, and if we can't, we will go. But like it was like an ACP was like this acceptable customer profile where like they could be kind of successful at what we do, but like we need to build better features to make them really successful. So it's like you have to keep looking for that next TAM or that next like, or like what you said, like there might not be your TAM, like it might not be your TAM. Like, but creative will tell you that.
Yes, this is the like the multi-dimensional skill set thing that we were talking about. That like, and I think AI accelerates this in every discipline. It's the people that are able to like look from high altitude, go wide, and then also go very deep, that will drive the biggest impact. Is to have like the largest possible perspective on what you're doing, what the company is doing, and like having a really good problem solving skill set, as opposed to being like tunnel vision and being like, I just need to create one more ad next week that's going to do well, right? Because like, and when you think about that big picture, the amount of leverage that AI can give you, keeping tabs on all of these different like questions and problems and signals, that becomes like AI done well, so that you can kind of look at all of these signals and then do like where I think humans will earn their keeps, is basically doing the final synthesizing of that information and like locking in a decision of like this direction or that direction. Because pre-AI, there's only so many signals that we could look at, right? And I think that's probably going to be one of the biggest changes that people have, like a mental model change, is that what used to be impossible in terms of like keeping tabs on multiple things at once to use that as signal for decision making becomes very trivial today. Like keeping tabs on all your competitors, all your past winning concepts, like all of the different things, all the reviews that people are saying, all the comments that people are leaving in your ads, like just so many different things that you can keep a pulse on at the same time, as like level one. And then level two is like, okay, what kind of business logic are we going to make on top of these like signals that we're looking at? And all of that is things that we can experiment with and try and come up with new ideas. And, you know, the best people are going to be very opinionated about how they want that to work. And the level one people are just going to like let AI basically do all of that for them. And I actually think like it'll do an okay job, but as soon as AI is able to do that for everyone, then that edge is gone. And like the real edge becomes like, okay, we all have access to the same super intelligence with a computer. How am I going to use it? How are you going to use it? And like goes back to the principles of really good marketing, which in some ways is like just really good decision making, right? Given a set of information, like what decisions are you going to make? And what I've always loved about marketing is that basically people talk about two things that are really important in the age of AI, is like agency. The idea that like, if I decide to do something, I'm just going to do it. And I can, like humans have, like one of the things that's really special about us, like we can have the agency to decide to do one thing or another thing. And taste, like those two things become really powerful in the age of AI. And marketing has both of those things like in an extreme amount. You can decide to go in so many different directions if you want. And the best marketers have a lot of really good taste. So like it's a good career to be in.
And because really marketing, like the best marketing is like you said, like looking at all of them, but like taking two like obsolete points of data and connecting them together to come up with like a new idea. Because if you really believe it now with AI, you're going to believe it that like there's no original ideas out there anymore, because AI is going to like level the like, and the original ideas are original idea in the age of AI is taking two obsolete points of like information and making something new out of those two obsolete, and that takes taste to find, and consumption and like knowledge should take those obsolete points, connect them together and say like, this will be something great. That's like also creating a great company, right? It's like you take two obsolete, like a couple, it could be 2, 3, but obsolete points that like, okay, I see this and I see this, and I like connect this together. It's going to make a new idea, which would make a new great company. And then it continues down the line, like with new features and stuff like that. But
Totally.
that's crazy. Lastly, what is a marketing hill you would die on?
Marketing hill I would die on. I think people care about attribution too much.
Yeah, it's a great hill. That is I feel like attribution was, the intention was great of attribution, because it like gave marketers like a better seat at the table and could, but like when people use it as like a GPS, like to get somewhere, that's where it screws people up. Like,
I'll also say one of the reasons, and we've experienced this quite a bit, the reason people love attribution is they love predictability. They want to be able to put on a spreadsheet, input, output. I do this, I get that. That's the reason why like attribution is so exciting. I think what happens is, as people get more like spreadsheet predictable on this goes in, this comes out, I think you get it, but I think your CACs go up. The more predictable something is, probably the more expensive it's going to be, the more predictable it is. And I think we've experienced this at Motion over our many years, is that I don't think we have the most like spreadsheet predictable go-to-market machine, but it is one of the most efficient go-to-market engines of any SaaS company in our peers that have gotten to the revenue levels that we've got at. And I think there's a bit of a trade-off between predictability or like explosive efficiency, that I think if you're willing to trade off, obviously I'm not saying like not looking at data signals is not a good idea, but being obsessed about them, I think can be a problem that kind of puts you into a corner. Whereas we've kind of had this view that like, if we believe really strongly that doing this is going to make a lot of noise, and usually that leads to a lot of revenue for us, and we're not able to like perfectly attribute it, that's fine. And the result of it, like we get somebody who comes on a sales call with us, most often what they say, we ask them like, how'd you get here? And their answer is something like, I don't know, everywhere. I've been to your events, people talk about you, this, that, and the other thing. And like the attribution source is like all of it, everything, you know? Yeah. Whereas if we're just so obsessed about like, we're going to sponsor this newsletter and then we're going to see a sign up, and then like we have those things, obviously they're there, but I think the bigger picture, if like the most senior leaders of the company are too obsessed about it, they pigeonhole the company into, really.
I think the problem is that like marketing got so like nobody got fired by deciding on IBM said like logic wins out, and the problem is that like the way the market, this is my like one of my theories, like the way the marketing role is structured is like it doesn't incentivize risk. So like there's a salary, and like if you do the logical thing or the illogical thing, the same outcome is there. But like with an investment banker, they're incentivized on risk. Like if they pick a better stock that gets a 100x growth or a 10x growth, they get more money. But the marketing role is not incentivized to make the illogical choice. Like they're incentivized to make like the choice that keeps them in the role. Like, because they don't want to get fired. Like, but if someone was told me said like if your revenues goes up like 10x, like you can get a 10x bigger like 10x on this bonus or something like that, the marketer will take bigger risks get that 10x versus like, I make 300K. I don't want to get fired. I'm going to pick the logical choice, and the logical choice tells me the spreadsheet tells me this. I'm going to pick this, and that's the outcome. Like, but there are marketers who know that like they want to keep their job for a long time, and you need risk to win. But like most marketers don't want to get fired, and the firing comes from like taking a risk. The risk bombs. They spent a lot of money, like, and there's no revenue to come out the other side, and they lose. Like, so, like that's my theory. Is like marketing is they're not incentivized risk that much. So
good one.
That's where people can find you, Motion, all that good stuff. I know you're everywhere, but like, where could they? Find you?
If you go to our website, motionapp.com, and like drop your email somewhere, you'll get emails for all the events we do. We just wrapped up our boot camp, and we'll be doing another one of those soon. We have the Creative Strategy Summit coming up at the end of June, so look out for invites on that. That'll be a really good one. But yeah, probably the best way to keep up with Motion is to like find yourself on our newsletter to get emails when we're doing our next event, and we probably do like one really big one per quarter. And as we get more into AI, we are getting even more serious about like educating and training the best creative strategists and marketers. So like, maybe one more thing actually that's useful for us and useful for all of your listeners is that in one of our events, there was one of our speakers said this idea that in the age of AI, you want to show your audience like proof of real work, proof of like, wait, no, actually that was hard. That was not possible to pull off like AI slop. And one of the things that we're really trying to do in the heart of our own marketing for our ecosystem is like, when you look at some of the stuff we do, like when people joined the boot camp, they were like, I thought this was going to be like a sales pitch, and you guys were just like collecting emails, and you were going to like, talk about a bunch of things and then like promote Motion. But like, it was heavy duty. Like we ran that thing as if it was like truly an info product that we were trying to like really sell incredible education through it. And so we take that stuff really seriously as our marketing investment, where people like it is not possible to do that quality of education without like real time investment, which I think is going to be more and more important as people can just kind of put out AI slop. So obviously for SaaS companies, it's one thing. For consumer companies, it's something else. But I think buyers are going to crave that, almost like, show me proof that you're not just like AI slopping me. Obviously it's fine to use AI, but like show me proof that there's some like meaningful work that real humans are doing behind the scenes here. I think both in like consumer and business, people are going to care about that.
Yeah, and I mean it comes from like psychology, like the Dyson theory of like, this took 483 tries to get me to like the best product. Like it's that theory of like, it took a lot of reiteration and work to land up here. Like it work. It's like psychology. Like humans want to see like the work behind things to like justify price, and justify like that's why like IKEA's model is like so good. Like why people love it, because like they like love like that they put together the furniture, because it took them their like. And I put together this furniture. It was cheap, but I put together this furniture, and like this is my piece of furniture that I built. Like, so it's like people love that work aspect of it, and it's like a mental thing.
Makes it more real.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for listening. Keep tuning in to hear more great insights from the coolest marketers from around the world. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and follow the Marketing Millennials podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you like what you hear, I would greatly appreciate you giving us a 5-star rating. It helps bring more marketers into our community.